If I said Deebo, speaking of speed, Deebo and McCaffrey race, who do you think would win that race?
I think they run similar speed. Maybe I'd give the slight edge to McCaffrey, just running, no ball in the hand. I think Deebo's one of the faster players in the league.
That touchdown again, he made a bunch of plays before that, but again, you watch him score these touchdowns, these long runs, and you go, how did he just run away from everybody?
What about those one crosser went right, one crosser went left, and the guy's all over him. The ball's in his hands. Immediately he separates like he hits a turbo boost.
We were talking about this beforehand. The first catch he made on the crosser that turned into a first down was a great catch because he really had to get out for it.
Fantastic.
The second catch was a good catch and a great run afterwards. And that was the play we mentioned on the 3rd and 7 when Jonathan Abram brought him down. But when he was gone, you watch him and go, oh, they can be okay without Deebo. They got McCaffrey, Mitchell's back. But then when he's back, you realize that nobody quite does what he does. It's McCaffrey's great at what he does, but nobody quite does what Deebo Samuel does. It's just he's one of a kind.
He really is. And I got to take, I don't want to say the L, but I apologize because we were talking about it last week, the one big picture guy that you could probably move away from. And there is just a different level to games in the playoffs than games against Arizona and some of these random opponents. And that takes nothing away. Like Ayuk's ready, Kittle's ready. It's not like those guys can't dominate. McCaffrey can dominate as well. But there is a level in which Deebo, like you get Justin Verlander in a playoff game, like I'm going to bet on him against whoever he's pitching against. Max Scherzer, like there's something with pitching for sure. And it feels like Deebo has this Draymond Green, in a big spot, how much do you trust the guy? And I don't know, because it does feel, and we were just talking about, like, rank DK, AJ, and Deebo, which is probably going to go down as the greatest trio of second-round picks in the same draft in the history of the league when it's all said and done. And it always feels, unless he's going on one of his crazy runs, like, well, Deebo would probably be third for the majority of the league. And even so, it is easy for most teams to implement the other two guys. But then you watch a game like tonight, you're like, I fucking think every team would take this guy, every single team. And I said, I don't think there's a team in the league that would trade a first rounder for him. And you watch tonight, you're like, yeah, there is. I mean, he's too dominant of a player. If he's trying, he's just better than his opponents. And this isn't just, obviously Seattle's defense statistically is pretty shitty, but we've seen him against, it doesn't matter who he's playing. He can run guys over. He can run by guys. He can make plays. Like you're lining them up in the backfield. I'm like, I fucking love this. Give the ball to 19. I get fired up in big games when I see him lined up in the backfield. 100%. Unlike the regular season where I'm like, oh my God, here we go.
If you told Kyle he had to give up.
I see you, Kyle.
Forget about trading a first for him. If you told Kyle you had to give up a first to keep him, he would probably do that.
What I think
big run.
What's pretty crazy, guy, is, I mean, this is not trying to walk, or I'm not trying to run before we walk here, but all these guys are under contract, right? The whole offensive skill squad is.
Yeah.
They matter.
Yeah.
Deebo, Christian, Ayuk, Kittle. I mean, that's.
You check.
Trent. Is there a. I mean, not,
Eagles
Ayuk. Don't obviously Ayuk. I didn't, but Juwan Jennings, a restricted free agent. He's not going anywhere. There's not a team in the league that has a better, like, long list of guys. Maybe the top guy, you could argue, is the best, right? A Justin Jefferson, you could even argue A.J. Brown, but it's like you go to, like, get to number 5, like you would take the Niners 5 or the Niners 6. And that's where you just felt it today. Even like, God, Elijah Mitchell's their 7th best player. Jesus Christ.
That's where the quarterback comes into play too, is like when you have all these guys in their prime under contract, because Trent Williams' prime apparently is like a 15-year prime. His prime, he got older, he's better.
Doesn't feel like he's trying.
He's like a Bond. He's like a Bond actor. Like those guys.
He just kind of goes like this
really
and holds you out there.
55.
He's like, Brock, throw the ball, man. You can come this way, man, if you want to come this way.
That's why the quarterback play is so critical, because how often do you get this collection of guys? But Deebo's final line today, the only play which we've seen, it's still the Deebo deep shot in one-on-one coverage still doesn't hit much, but that's okay.
The DB made a great play there. Deebo might have laid out and caught it.
DB also didn't really bite on the route.
I mean, no one's confusing him for Marvin Harrison as a route runner.
3 for 32 on the ground, 6 for 133 receiving and a touchdown. Now,
Is
he
there
had
ever going to be a
74-yard
receiver
play, but-
that's going to have more touchdowns and be like, God, I bet this guy was just hitting bombs? Like, no, actually, he just hit like crossers. He took it 70.
Yeah, he just ran a lot, ran really far.
Yeah, they threw him pitches and he ran by everybody. Wait, he just didn't run go routes and posts? No, he actually never hit one of those in his career. And he ended up with 75 touchdowns.
The other thing was they got him, like, this was a good number of touches, right? 9 touches, but he actually 3 more targets. But you saw in the first series, the only, I guess, Kittle didn't touch the ball in the first series, but Deebo did, Ayuk did, and then McCaffrey got the ball to start the second series. Like, Shanahan made a real effort to spread it around, I thought, early in the game, and he did. He did it effectively.
I didn't think Deebo was going to get asked out in the playoffs, but I think we talked about this last week. How do you get everyone the ball? It's not that hard. Because one thing they do just run a lot of plays to basically Deebo, Christian, Kittle that are relatively close to the line of scrimmage. And I guess Kittle also can go deep, but Ayuk is really, in Jennings, the only guy that multiple times a game Brock is throwing it 15 plus yards down the field to. Like, how many times Deebo, they ran a wheel route to him, they pitch him the ball, they run crossing routes for him, right? They just keep him close. So how does he not going to get the ball? Because that's just going to be a play. That's a very quarterback friendly play.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Joe Montana and Steve Young threw a lot of slants to Jerry Rice.
Yep. I love the play where they just all of a sudden they'll throw McCaffrey in the slot and Brock takes like the 1-step drop and just throws a bullet to McCaffrey. And he's just a really good, like, the one thing, they're all really good catchers in tight windows too. Like Deebo, for not being your prototypical receiver, is a really good catcher.
Yeah,
Christian's obviously a very good catcher. Mitchell's a good catcher. They're just really good catchers. Deebo's a fantastic catcher. God, he's special, man.
Mitchell's pretty solid if he's your 6th best weapon.
Your changeup.
I mean, he was one of their best weapons last year, and clearly he's getting knocked down the rung because Ayuk now is better. The quarterback can throw him the ball easier. You know, you add McCaffrey, so Mitchell just becomes a backup. Again, you made it to the conference championship with Mitchell being your starting running back and you riding him. And now, granted, he's been injured, but still, I mean, he had what? He had 9 carries. 9 carries, 2 yards. It didn't feel that bad.
It didn't.
Looked sweet. No.
Well, they tried the toss where he usually hits that thing hard for 9 yards, and it wasn't. But
Seattle made some good open field tackles today. Seattle, the one play where the Niners, they ran, I forget who the run was to. I think it might have been Mitchell. They pulled, I think, Kittle, or maybe Juszczyk, and another tight end.
Yeah.
And both of them just run right by number 10. And he just gets to, like, crush him. And even Moose was like, yeah, I don't know if everyone's on the same page there.
Moose goes, if you see another color, hit it. He goes, don't run by another color.
Well, I mean, one thing, you learn this in high school football, let alone the pros. Like, if it crosses your face in a block, whether you're an offensive lineman or a guy in pass pro as a tight end or running back, you're supposed to take it, right? You can't let it cross your face. It's like, it's coming, guys.